If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an extra supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
All right, we have Lucky Lauren Murphy back on the show with Lucky Penny as well. Lauren returns to action February 8th in Houston, Texas, taking on Andrea Lee, UFC 247. Lauren, how are you?
I'm awesome. Thanks, man.
Great to have you back here. How's Penny doing? Very needing of attention, clearly, but seems very nice and lovable.
She's a little needy. Yeah, she's she's a little neurotic. She needs a lot of cuddles today, but that's all right. That's all right. She's a good girl.
She's still in your spotlight. This is unbelievable. You get your first pay-per-view fight, and she's trying to take the spotlight from you.
I know. You know what? I'm excited to have her at Fight Week with me because she's such a goofball. Like, she really is a ham. And so I'm excited to take her to Fight Week, and hopefully we could get some media pictures together. And she's actually way more popular on my Instagram than I am. So I have probably more followers on Instagram that follow me for Penny than they do for me, but that's okay.
Well, there you go. So this is more like a hometown fight for you now, isn't it? I mean, you did your last camp in Houston. I know you've trained there before in your earlier parts of your career, but then you packed up and you moved to Houston and you moved to Texas after that great win over Mara Romero Barella. So how has life been since the move to Texas? I don't see a cowboy hat or anything, so it doesn't look like too much has changed.
Not yet. Yeah.
Not yet.
Get down, Penny. Get down. It's been awesome, man. So I actually came back and started training with my old team. This is the team that I was with when I fought for Legacy and when I fought for Invicta. So this is the team that took me all the way to the UFC. I'm undefeated with them, and I love it out here. And then I made one new addition. I started working with Bob Perez, who is the co-owner at Main Street Muay Thai and Boxing. And he's Derek Lewis's coach, so he has a ton of experience in MMA and striking. Yeah, it's just been an awesome camp. I love it out here. There's a ton of gyms to train at. I get a ton of partners, lots of different looks. I'm just surrounded by a lot of positivity, and it makes me feel really confident. So I think that I'm just now kind of hitting my stride physically as an athlete, and then being with this team, it's going to give me the opportunity to be my best self, like mentally as well. So it's really cool.
Do you feel like a difference mentally since you made the move over there? Do you feel not almost like a different person since the move, but a little bit more clear-minded and, everything's all where you need it to be now? There's no planes or long rides to get where you need to go.
Yeah, I do feel like a different person mentally since coming over to this camp. I just feel a lot more confident and a lot more positive. I could go on and on and on about my coaches, but they do a lot of really good stuff. So game planning is big. We have really once a week we get together and we make sure that everything's on track. We have a good set game plan for every fight. I know exactly what I'm going to do in every position. And that just, helps me build a lot of confidence. So when I walk into the cage, I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't ever feel lost in there anymore. And I know I'm capable of doing those things because we've practiced it over and over again for, 8 to 12 weeks. So it really is a phenomenal team. These guys know what they're looking at. They know what they're doing, and I trust them 100%. So anything they tell me to do, I will do for sure.
I have to say, and I know that sometimes the 4-letter words can sneak out of your mouth, but the Lauren Murphy that sits in front of me today compared to the Lauren Murphy I interviewed for the first time before the Kelly Fashholtz fight, it's a much different person. I went back and listened and watched some of those old interviews, and I'm just like, man, I would say, and I'm not a psychologist or anything, but you seem like a much less angry person these days. You just seem much more relaxed. Is that accurate?
No, I think you're right. For a long time, I had a big chip on my shoulder, especially when I got into the UFC, and I think a lot of that was just from feeling not confident and kind of feeling like I didn't really belong there. And I was in a really bad spot mentally for a really long time. I was overtrained. I was underconfident. I was told by a lot of people around me that I wasn't good enough to be in the UFC, that I wasn't ready for those fights, that the women in the top 10 were on a different level than me, that I didn't have any skills. I mean, I was constantly kind of being fed this stream of you're not good enough. And unfortunately, I believed it. I I chose to believe that. And so it's stuck with me for a long time. And imagine doing your job and just feeling like you don't really belong there, and feeling like it just takes all the fun right out of fighting. So I spent a lot of time like really not having fun and not enjoying the process, and feeling super anxious and feeling angry and ashamed. And I came back here with my old team, and I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like 1,000-pound weight is off my chest. I'm excited to go fight again. I can't wait to be in there. I know I'm really good now. Like, I know I belong in there, and I've earned my spot on this pay-per-view card. I can't wait to go show everybody why. And I've improved even since my last fight. Like, my last fight was kind of a coming out party where I got to show everybody, like, I do have a lot of power in my hands, and I'm good everywhere. I'm really good in the clinch. I'm good on the ground. And this fight is going to be even better. I'm going to be faster. I'm going to be more explosive. I'm going to be even more confident. I can't wait. It's going to be an awesome show. Awesome.
Not only are you finding this confidence in yourself, but obviously the UFC is confident in you as well. I mean, you get this huge fight to kick off 2020 with Andrea Lee. I mean, this is a big time fight at 125. It's the kind of fight you've been hoping to get for a long time now, since we started doing these interviews. How did you react to, getting the contract and seeing Andrea Lee's name on the other side of it?
Well, when Mick called me with it, we actually had a different fight set up that I was really excited about. Originally, I was going to fight Roxanne Modafferi, and I was like, hell yes. Like, she's a title contender, just all around badass. And like, it's always fun to fight somebody like Roxanne because she's so unique and she's so kind, and you just know it's going to be a good time. And then the UFC called and they said, we're going to change things up a little bit. And they gave me a choice of a couple different opponents. And at the time, Andrea Lee was ranked above me. And that was the option if I wanted to fight in Houston. So I was like, of course, like, let's go with that. This is badass. And actually, way back before I fought Mara, I had said to a couple people around me that I wanted to fight Andrea Lee after I was coming off a really good win. And so it seems to me like the universe is just kind of lining it up, and this is my chance, so I'm going to take it.
It's a fun kind of fight because, Andrew's a good striker. She can wrestle as well. You like to get in there and scrap it up. You can wrestle and bang if you need to as well. And Andrea, from conversations I've had with her, she's been looking for those, scrappy kinds of fights, because it seems like most of her fights outside of the JoJo fight, she's been taking on a lot of wrestlers and grapplers, and, she hasn't really been able to stand there and slug it out a little bit. I think this has banger written all over it. That's my sense looking at this fight on paper. Do you agree with that?
I think so, but I know that I hit really fucking hard, like really hard. So usually when I start smacking girls in the face, suddenly they start wanting to wrestle a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm ready for wherever the fight's going to go. Like I said, my conditioning is on point, and I'm ready to hit her hard for 15 minutes. If we're going to end up standing the whole time, I'm totally fine with that. I got a couple new tricks that I can't wait to show off. Like, I'm really, really excited to go in there and show off for you guys. I cannot wait because I've just improved so much, especially with my kickboxing. I've been doing a ton of sparring, working with Bob Perez, and Alex Cisne has just helped my striking game immensely. I've always felt confident on the ground, and I'm willing to put my clinch game on the line with anybody in the division, really. So, you guys saw what I could do in the clinch in my last fight. I don't know anybody better in the clinch than Liz Carmouche or Sarah McMahon or Miriam Nakamoto. And I fought all those girls and did just fine with them. So I'm pretty good with wherever the fight goes. I think the big thing in this fight is to keep my conditioning on point and make sure that I could keep a high pace for 15 minutes. Because Andrea Lee will. She's really good at that. It just kind of flowing from position to position and going. So I need to make sure I can keep her pace.
Who else are you working with as far as teammates go to get you ready day in and day out? I know in Houston there's so many different people to train with, so many gyms like you talked about, Crew Bob and so many other people. I was talking to Will Morris a couple weeks ago. He's a beast. I'm sure you're working with him a little bit. Talk about some of the other fighters you're working with.
Me and Derek Lewis spar all the time. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, there's a ton of good fighters. I don't have the opportunity to work with a lot of other UFC fighters, but that's fine. There's some names that I work with that you guys will recognize, eventually. So Paris Moran is one of them. He's upcoming. He just turned pro, but that kid is a monster. He is going to be a star in the UFC for sure. So write that down, Paris Moran. He's awesome. I get to work with a lot of great women, Alyssa Cantu and Kristen Kochenek. I think I said her last name correctly. But mostly I'll work with whoever Bob and Alex kind of hook me up with. Like when I go to the gym, they have training partners for me that we're going to work on specific things together. So when I work in the clinch, I work with a specific guy that's really good in the clinch. When I'm working my striking, I work with boxers and kickboxers that are specifically really good at that. And then every Sunday we have Sunday Fun Day, where I get together with my coaches and we put it all together, and I get to do MMA rounds. So yeah, I have a ton of good training partners. It varies a lot because I go to so many different gyms here in Houston. So I would love to name off a bunch of famous people for you, but the truth is that I work with a ton of people because I go to a lot of different gyms.
That's what I figured. It's a kind of a hub over there for training and different gyms and different looks and things like that. Just going back through the timeline here, first numbered pay-per-view card for you. I mean, you get you're on a John Jones, you're on a John Jones card. You're on a 2 title fight card. Of course, your division's title is being defended as well on this card. This is very exciting stuff. And there's Penny.
Excited too. Yeah, she's like, yeah, Mom. It is. Yeah, I'm proud of it, man. I'm so proud to be on this card. I'm proud that the UFC trusts me enough to put on a good show, especially with somebody. Excuse us. Okay. Especially with somebody like Andrea, who is really exciting, and she is a fan favorite, And I just feel so proud that I have finally earned my place there. There was a time when I thought that I wasn't good enough to be in these kinds of positions, and I am. I'm good enough to be here, and I'm going to show everybody why, and I'm just going to soak up every moment. There's going to be a day someday when I'm going to be like sitting in the stands buying my tickets to go to the UFC. Do you know what I mean? Like, right. I'm going to be 40, 50, 60 years old watching the fights, wishing I could be back in this position. So I don't want to waste a single second of it. I feel super proud that I've earned my way to be where I'm at, and fucking nobody can say I didn't earn it. You know what I mean? I've taken nothing but tough fights in the UFC, and I've kind of hung on by the skin of my teeth sometimes, but I did hang on, and look what happened. Look where I'm at now.
Here we are. And
yeah.
one of those fighters you've been in there with in the past was Katlyn Chookagian. She's fighting Valentina Shevchenko on this card, and as many would expect, the champion right now is a minus 1,000 favorite in that fight. And
oh, no way, really?
Yeah, Chookagian is
wow.
a 6.5 to 1 underdog heading into February 8th. You've been in there with Katlyn. Can she do it? Can it be done?
Yeah, I think she could do it. She looked awesome in her last fight. She was coming forward more than I've ever seen Katlyn come forward before. I think like the big criticism of Katlyn is that like she just kind of jabs and backs up and jabs and backs up, and she doesn't really engage. And she was coming forward on Jennifer Maia really well, I thought. And Katlyn is fast, so it'll be interesting to see if how her speed compares to Valentina's, because that's like Valentina's big thing is how fast she is. Katlyn looked really good on the ground too, man. She's working with John Danaher. Like, I think she's really good everywhere. It's going to be a pretty dangerous fight, so we'll see how it goes. But I would love to get that fight back one of these days, that fight with Chookagian. So either way, if she wins, I would love to get a rematch, obviously, if we both can come off wins that night. And if she doesn't, she'll still be floating around in the top 5, and I think that would be a great next fight for me, and it would be a good test to see just how much I've improved with this new camp that I'm at and what I can do. I think our last fight was so close, and there was a lot of shit going down before that fight that was not in my favor, and so I would really love to see what I could do with a really good camp, a good weight cut, good game plan. And see if maybe I could get that one back and come out with a win this time.
Well, we got to give those ladies something to think about on February 8th, because you're going to go in there with Andrea Lee right before they go out there and have their title fight for the women's flyweight strap. I'm not going to ask you for prediction. We're beyond the prediction stage of of the fight game and everything. But I guess the question is, because you're never going to say like, oh, Andrew's going to go in there and kick my ass. But what do you hope to accomplish as a martial artist with the victory at UFC 247 on February 8th? Like, the win is great. What else do you hope to accomplish on February 8th?
So obviously I'd like to get a good win. I'm coming off a finish over somebody in the top 15, and I would really like to get a finish over somebody in the top 10 now. So I think this is a good opportunity for me to just really look for the finish the entire fight. I'd like to stay really calm. I think that's really the key to any high performance, is to stay calm and be able to breathe in there. I'd like to stay cool on the mic afterward and not sound like a total nerd if possible. And then, Excuse me. And then and then after that, you know, I'm going to be looking to fight really quick. I'm going to be looking for a quick turnaround. I don't want to wait 6 months again. Even if it's a great matchup on a good card again, I want it to be 2-3 months out. You know what I mean? I'm trying to fight 7 or 8 times this year.
Nice. Are we overlooking Roxanne Modafferi here? Are people overlooking her heading into this fight with Macy Barber? I think people are crazy if they're doing that, because every time Roxy's in this position, she always comes out the other side with the victory. Like the Antonina Shevchenko fight, no one gave her a chance in that fight, and she looked fantastic.
Yeah, people are overlooking her a little bit. Roxanne's dangerous because she's so tough and she's so experienced. You can't panic her. You can't freak her out. You know, she could take an ass whooping for a round and it doesn't bother her. She's going to come back in the second and in the third doing what she does. So Macy's gas tank better be on point, because if she gasses herself out in the first round, she's really, really, really going to be in trouble. And Roxanne does have a pretty sick ground game. She's real heavy on top, you know. So if she gets on top of Macy, I think it's going to be hard for Macy to be able to do anything. But we'll see. Macy is strong. I think Macy must hit super hard. Just from watching her fight with Jillian, it looked to me like she cracked Jillian hard. So Macy's definitely got some power. You know what I mean? Macy has some power in her hands, but Roxanne is tough, like you said. People are definitely overlooking her, and I'm always going to be kind of a Roxanne fan. I'm always going to be rooting for her. So I'm jacked up for that fight. This is Roxanne's coming out party too, you know?
I'm excited for that. I'm excited for February 8th, UFC 247. Lauren Murphy back in action against Andrea Lee. I'm looking forward to this very much, and I'm happy to see you're in such a great place, Lauren. I feel like we've come a long way together, you and I.
Yeah.
You're getting ready to be on a pay-per-view, and I'm sitting in my office doing interviews, and look at us. The
Dude,
growth,
it's badass.
the evolution,
It's badass.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Lucky, thank you for chiming in here. Let the folks know where they can find and follow you on the web, social media, shout-outs, anything else you want to get off your chest. The floor is yours.
Yeah, Lauren Murphy, MMA. That's across the board. Instagram, Twitter. I'm not really on Facebook anymore, but I do respond to fans on Instagram and sometimes on Twitter. So hit me up, Lauren Murphy, MMA. And I want to thank Rodkeys USA. They're the CBD company. They're based here in Texas, out of San Antonio. And honestly, without them, this camp and my last camp would not have been possible. So get on that Rodkeys website, order you some really good CBD. It's a really clean product. It helps with recovery. It helps with sleep. It helps with anxiety. It can do a lot for your life. So, and then if you use code LUCKY, LUCKY, you get money off. So thank you, Rodkeys, for hooking it up. And thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely. Great to see you again, and looking forward to seeing you back in the Octagon February 8th.
Thanks a lot. It's going to be an awesome show. Do not miss it.